My name is Oliver Espersen. I'm from Denmark and I look after all the wine for Tom Kerridges restaurant, Kerridges Bar and Grill in London and Bull and Bear here in Manchester. Wine is so fascinating because it can be business, it can be something very close to you like winemakers, and how things get into a bottle only happens once a year. It's just a really magical journey into so many different areas of wine, and that's what really got me kind of really deeply passionate about this, which is my career and also a hobby and something that I continue to do throughout my life. So I got started in the industry living in Singapore, moving, eventually figuring out that restaurants was more down the line of what I wanted to do. So I worked as a waiter, doing a few internships. So I think one of the first internships I did was with a restaurant called Noma in Copenhagen. That was really great at the time and still is today. And that really got me into kind of more the wine side, especially things like natural wine, which was really up and coming at the time and really unique. And that really, kind of lighted the fire at that time. My first wine experience or tasting was in Copenhagen, where I really got to taste some really unique wines. I had been introduced to wine previously and was dabbling around, getting confident with it, but then that really stepped over the edges. It was doing new things, reaching boundaries, very new, very different, and that really clicked with me and gave wine more of a purpose and more romantic and more producer-driven, small, artisanal, organic biodynamic, just these very new terms. That was great, and that really got me going and into this beautiful wine scene that we're having today. Storing wine correctly is essential for what we do here at the Bull and Bear and for all of our other restaurants, because we have two needs. We have the need of the wine and what conditions the wines like to go under for long-term storage or short-term storage, where we're looking at providing for our guests, and especially with the guests here where we are in the UK, people are very specific on their demand. They're very personal to how they like their wines served, especially serving temperature is very important. White wine's quite cold and red wine's, just at that perfect balance that works. And then obviously with the caliber of wine that we have in all our restaurants, some of them are quite a little bit volatile. Some wines with age, some wines with that are like Pinot Noir lighter, or like Cabernets that are maybe a little bit more senior. They need different conditions, so we really need to look after that well. And I reached out to Tanglewood, who have a great track record, amazing projects that go on, and that led to this beautiful space that's here now today. Not storing your wine correctly can really jeopardize, the guest's wine experience or the wine's taste or the quality of the bottle. And it's very important to us to make sure that, all the work we put into getting the wines supplied from our producers, and then making its way into here, into Manchester, and making its way into the Bull and Bear, that it's done correctly, stored at the correct temperature. So there's no change in the wine, that what ends up in the glass is exactly what the winemaker intended. And for us, that's what we're doing. We're custodians of wine. I don't make a product, so I make sure the wines are stored correctly and that everything kind of has its place and is done correctly. So it's just as important as anything else that I do. Creating a space like this within the Bull and Bear that's cutely nestled within the Stock Exchange Hotel is really essential for what we do. It puts an emphasis on wine, and having a space solely dedicated towards wine really steps up the seriousness level of it. There's nothing else really around that kind of competes with what we want to achieve, and we very much wanted this to be the hallmark of that, to really invest into a space where wine can be enjoyed and also stored and just appreciate. And that's, we're in a hotel, so we're very lucky. We're open 7 days a week, and we needed a space that could work for that and just look so seamless and so casual. And Tanglewood Wines was really the option that came straight to my mind, having previous experience with them, to create a space like what we have today. It's been very successful, and we just can't wait to see where it takes us. I think my favorite food and wine pairing, one of them would have to be classic Chardonnay from Burgundy as well, something like Merceau, goes with lots of our dishes that we serve here at the Bull and Bear and also at Tom Kerridges in London. Lobster omelets, a big one. Some of the fish dishes that we do, they're just rich and decadent and work really well with this really buttery, amazing Chardonnay structure. The latest buzz trend for wine, really in the industry, especially here in the UK, would be English wines for me. I think English wine is something that everybody is kind of looking at, potentially getting a bottle or have tried a few things. Whites are absolutely delicious and are of such high quality, and it's something we've done really well here at the Bull and Bear and also in London and our other restaurants, and something we continue to grow and do more with, which is amazing to see because we're an English restaurant. We have an English chef. Tom is a big figure for that, and we wanted to kind of not directly associate, but really bring it in that English partnership. As it's growing, as it's becoming more interesting, you know, being a pioneer for something very English is great for us, and we really have that ability to research the products. So I really want to see, you know, not just English bubbles be really named, like people are familiar with different champagne houses, like Veuve Clicquot and Moet. They know Night Timber, they know products, they know brands now, which is great. So it's moving in the right direction, and it's really exciting to see what's happening with English wine at the moment.